All right, welcome everyone. This is going to be a tutorial on using ReelSwap. It's a platform for physical video media collectors. Right now, it's focused on US released analog video formats, such as VHS, Betamax, Laserdisc, and CED video disc. So first and foremost, ReelSwap is an archive of cover art for all these different media types. When I created ReelSwap, I was testing out different collection trackers to track my own VHS collection and Betamax collection, and was very frustrated that none of them had the actual artwork that was associated with the formats. A lot of times you would add something to your collection and it would just be a default poster. Um, so I wasn't really happy with that, so that sort of inspired me to make ReelSwap. And so the thing that's kind of at the forefront of this is ReelSwap being an archive of the actual cover art for these different formats. That's very important to me. I want to create a historical archive of all this artwork before it gets lost. And I think we've tried to implement it in a really cool way where you can sort of preserve that and interact with it in a digital space and be able to share your collection that you own at home with other users in other places rather than needing to come to your physical space to actually view your collection. So first and foremost, it's a digital archive of cover art. And second, it's a collection tracking app and a Wantlist tracking app for those collectors who want to keep a running log of what they have in their collection, stuff they're looking for their collection. And we've tried to set ReelSwap up in a way where there's an actual defined library that coexists with the different variations of media types. For example, there can be multiple releases over a number of years with different box art for the same movie title. So it's a digital archive of physical media cover art. It's a collection tracker and a want list tracker. Currently on ReelSwap, there's also a trading platform built into it. So based on what you have in your collection that is marked for trade and what you have on your want list, you can get automatically matched with other users who basically have the inverse. So if it's on your want list and somebody else has it in their collection and it's marked for trade, then you can get automatically matched with them. The matching system, once a trade is accepted, will present both users with the other's email addresses, connecting the two of you offline so you can arrange the trade however you best want. There's also a community page where you can see all the other users and what they're adding to ReelSwap at any point in time. You can go and browse their collection. You can visit their profile page and see what specific genres they're into collecting. There's also some other pages on there to kind of show you what the latest stuff being added to the ReelSwap catalog is, which I think is a pretty interesting way to browse. And then I think the other big part that sets ReelSwap apart from other collection tracking apps is the shelf view, which is getting to see your archived physical media objects on a virtual shelf that you can interact with in a more physical way by picking them up off the shelf and looking at all the different sides and inspecting the artwork as if it was right in front of you. So before we get started, there is a big roadmap that we have planned for other features in the future. So definitely stay tuned. All right, so let's jump into it and quickly go over the different pages on ReelSwap. The first main page is the catalog page. All right, so let's start with the catalog page, and the catalog is where you can see everything that has been added as a release by all the users on ReelSwap. So there is a database that has hundreds of thousands of movies in it, but when you see these badges lit up here with number indicators next to them, that means there are 712 VHS items that users have in their collection on ReelSwap. And if they've been added to their collections, they probably have additional photos and also texture archive maps allowing you to view the tapes in the 3D shelf view, which is pretty cool. If you're just starting for the first time, you can browse and see everything that is available. There are three main view types on every page on ReelSwap. The interface in UI is pretty consistent across all the pages. These are the format filters, so you can filter specifically for what you're looking for: VHS, Betamax, Laserdisc, and CED. There is a sorting menu, so you can sort in various different ways. I tend to like looking at recently added. That will promote all the things that have been recently added to users' collections on ReelSwap to the top of the page, which is cool to see what people are adding. You can also switch between the list view, the grid view with different spacing options. And then, of course, there is the 3D shelf view. Now, on the catalog page, the 3D shelf view only becomes active when you are actually filtered for a specific format, and that is because the 3D shelf view does not support multiple formats on the same shelves at the same time. So if you're in the 3D shelf view, you can expect to see only VHS tapes or only Betamax tapes or only Laserdiscs all at the same time. But you can switch into the 3D shelf view, and then you will be able to browse your collection and pick them up off the shelf and inspect them. The left mouse click, if you're on desktop, rotates the tape. The scroll wheel on my mouse zooms in and out, so you can get up close and read the text. And the right click button actually moves it around. So if you're zoomed in on the back of a tape and trying to really get down there and read some of the distributor information or whatever it is you're looking for, you can do that. Simply hit escape or click off of the tape to put it back on the shelf, and then you can go back into your normal view. I'm going to switch to my collection and explain a couple of things. My collection will display all of the tapes, and you'll see them with their cover art if it's been processed. If you're seeing a uncovered VHS tape with masking tape label on it, that means that no one has processed a texture archive for this tape yet. So you still get the poster image attached to the front of the tape, and you get a badge on the side of the tape because the 3D shelf view also supports spine sorting, which you can then look at the spines of all your tapes. The 3D view also supports color sorting. This works fairly well, but if you are interested in seeing what your collection looks like sorted by general overall color, you can switch to that, and then it'll organize tapes from white to green to blue to red. The button for stickers on off. So what that does is currently we have sticker badges on tapes, and this one says trade because I actually have this marked available for trade if anyone wants to use the trading platform. So you can turn those on and off if you just want to see the clean cover art that has been uploaded for those titles. This may be expanded in the future to add other stickers to tapes for things like pricing or potentially even adding stickers for different tags and things like that. So what you can also do is right click on any tape and view details, and that will take you directly to your item details page. You can get all the movie info and links to the movie database, which is what ReelSwap relies on heavily for lots of movie metadata through their API, which is free and it is amazing. There's also links to the IMDb page, and you can adjust anything for your user item if you need to change it after entering it into the database. This is where you can mark something for trade, or you can enter any additional notes or enter any additional tags that you might tag with. Let's talk about tags for a second. There is a tag menu up here, and it should be available in all views, tags. So if I switch to list view or switch back to my shelf view. So tags are a way that you can categorize things within your own collection however you want. There's a certain part of the database that needs to be very structured for managing the release information, but here is how you could organize things yourself. So for example, I have a tag called macabre. and that is just sort of dark comedy movies that I think are of a macabre nature. You can also tag things as ninja. So I have one for Surf Ninja. Obviously, I haven't gone through and tagged a lot of stuff in my collection yet. And you can edit your tags directly by right-clicking and adding a tag to a movie. So if I tag Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain with ninja, then it gets the tag ninja. And if I switch to my ninja tag, then it will show up. In the future roadmap, we may have different sort of marquee indicators for each tag on top of the 3D shelf view. So it looks like you're browsing a certain genre section of a video store. If anyone has any cool ideas, definitely use the feedback form down at the bottom right-hand corner. If you go to your item details, then you can also edit the tags here directly. So you can see that tag I added ninja is here, but if I also want to tag this as Hulk Hogan, I can do that as well. And then if I go back to my collection, I will have a tag that says Hulk Hogan, and I can just classify my Hulk Hogan movies, which there are actually a lot of. So there are a couple of ways if you're just starting out that you can get things into your collection. They're all very similar paths from different pages, but in your collection, you can click the Add Item button, and this opens the Add Item wizard, which will guide you through the steps to get something into your collection. If you're either adding it to the ReelSwap catalog for the first time, or if you are simply trying to add something that already exists in the ReelSwap catalog to your collection. If I jump back to the catalog page, I'll just use this in list view for now. If I go back to VHS, I can browse here and see all the different titles that people have added. And you can see here my plus collection button is green. So that means that's already in my collection. So a very quick way to add things to your collection is to click the plus collection button. When you add something to your collection, you want to pick a condition. So basically, what condition is your tape in? You can click one very quickly and that will add it to your collection. You can also click the button again to remove it from your collection if you made a mistake. And same thing for Wantlist. If you click that, then you can click your want list and you'll see Buckaroo Banzai added to your want list. This is a very quick way to track things that you are still looking for your collection. So what if I'm browsing the catalog and I see that there is already a copy of Alien as an example? If I'm already browsing and I see a release of Alien in the catalog, that means somebody else has already added that to their collection. But as you can see, there were multiple releases for Alien on VHS by different distributors. One is the CBS Fox Video release, and the other is the Fox Video release, both with different cover art variations. This is like a key part of ReelSwap. We want to be able to have multiple releases under the same title. So the hierarchy for the database is title of the movie, the format, which is VHS, Betamax, Laserdisc, and the release information. The release information starts with the distributor. Who was the distributing company? In this case, it's CBS Fox Video, and in this case, it's Fox Video. And that's how we sort of differentiate between cover art. If at any time you're curious what all of the releases in the catalog are for a particular title, you can click on it from the catalog page and that will take you to the title page. And for Alien, you can now see that there are 4 different physical releases in the catalog for this title. 2 VHS releases and 2 Laserdisc releases. If you're trying to add something, say you have Alien on Betamax, or if you have a different cover art variation of Alien, you can click I have a different release. So that is going to add the Alien title to your collection, and you're going to either say I own this or I want this to put it on your collection or want list. You're going to specify your format, and you're going to select your distributor. All right, so if I scroll down a bit and I find a different title, this is Aliens, which I don't have in my collection, but I would like. I have it on my want list. But if I acquire a copy of Aliens for my collection, I can remove it from my want list and I can add it to my collection. So if I click the plus collection button, I'm going to be asked to pick my conditions copy, and I'll just say good for now. But what if my cover art variation is different than the one I'm seeing here? You can say I have a different release, and that will make sure to add aliens to your collection under the same title. You can select your format and you can choose the alternate distributor version that you have. You can enter the UPC code and click next. This is asking you to verify your condition because you have a different release than the one that's listed here. And if at any time you're not sure what condition you should be choosing, it is a little vague between, very good, good, and acceptable. You can take the condition quiz, which is sort of a guided multiple choice selection item widget that like lets you kind of deduce what your condition might be. So I'll demonstrate that now here. First question is it factory sealed? No, of course not. Does it have its original case? Yes, it does. Let's just say for now mine has rental stickers and some light shelfware, but nothing else. So I'll click continue. Any structural damage like torn sleeve artwork, cut box for being an X rental, say just continue. Does the tape play correctly? Yes, it plays fine. And is there any visible mold on the tape? I'll say no. So your suggested condition guide grade is good, and it goes ahead and it tags your item with condition tags so that when you're referencing it in your collection later, if you come across maybe a better version of it and you're wondering if you want to acquire a different copy that's in better condition, you can quickly look at your item and then figure out based on the tags what your why it was given this condition. So if you find a copy that doesn't have rental stickers, you may want to pick that up and replace it in your. If you're not happy with the results of this, you can always retake the quiz, or you can just skip it altogether and just pick whichever you think is best. This is just a guide for people who are interested in getting more granular with items in their collection. You don't have to use the wizard, but I think it helps. And also, you get the tags for free, which is enriched metadata for your collection if you choose to use it. Then you click next, and here's where you can upload your photos. So you would drop in up to 10 photos. So you would take photos of your item and upload them here and choose whether or not you want to mark your item for trade. If you do mark it for trade, you need to specify an asking price and you have to have photos uploaded. This is because if you're trying to participate in the trading platform, other users need to be able to see what they would be getting in the trade, and that's based on your photos you upload. You can add tags, you can add additional notes, and then you can click add to your collection and it'll show up in your collection. Okay, let's finish going through the different sections of ReelSwap. So there's the catalog page, which shows all users' items across the entire catalog. The collection page is specifically for you yourself. And while we're here on the collection page, I can just talk about pricing briefly. These prices are complete estimated value. So where do these prices come from? On every release in your collection, you will see an average eBay asking price, and then you will see my value. The average eBay asking price is derived from live buy it now eBay listings at any given time, and they are refreshed daily. So that price is always going to be fluctuating based on what other people think a tape or item is worth on eBay at any given point in time. So the way that average eBay asking price is derived, we make an API call to eBay that searches for Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain on VHS. We return as many results as we think we need. Then we remove outlier prices. We all know we come across tapes that are listed for thousands of dollars. So this gets rid of those like $10,000 Disney Black Diamond tapes from contributing to the average price. And once we have those outliers removed, then we actually break all the remaining values up into condition categories. So the condition categories in ReelSwap, new, very good, good, acceptable, and media only, mirror condition categories on eBay that people list their items at. Now, this is another reason why the average eBay asking prices you see on ReelSwap are always fluctuating. They are only an estimate, a reference guide, whatever you want to call them. It's just additional information if you want to use it. We are not saying that this is what we think it's worth. We are just presenting the information in a way that might be useful as a reference to everyone else. If you want to see exactly what is contributing to that information, you can click through and go to the release page. You can see some of the other price tiers for that item. And if you actually visit the release page, you can actually scroll down and see all of the active eBay listings that are contributing to that price for each condition tier. So after we remove the outlier prices, then we split the remaining listings up into condition tiers based on how they were listed on eBay. And then we average those prices together. So the average price for a very good copy of Three Ninjas currently, based on what people have their items listed at on eBay, is $9.43. These are totally just reference prices, and you can see the range of what people are listing their items for. So the my value price is what actually gets used on ReelSwap if you decide to participate in trading. You can use this value however you want. If you're not interested in trading, you can set your my asking price to track maybe what you paid for it. If you're interested in, tracking all the tapes you bought for $1 at a swap meet versus $10 at like a record store type thing. So you can use that my asking price however you want. If you do want to participate in the trading platform, when somebody has something in their collection that is also on your want list, it will try to match item to get their prices as close to possible for trade matches, making it more of a direct trade situation. I could make a whole other video about how the trading platform works, and I may do that once more users start using it. But for now, you can use my asking price in any way you see fit for tracking your own collection value. So the estimated collection value just adds up everything that's in your collection. I believe it is using the average eBay asking price if you have not specified your own user value here. You can see how many items you have collected, how many you have marked for trade, and how many you have on your want list. So this is kind of like a mini dashboard for your collection on your collection page. You can also see that you will get a trade badge, and that is specifically if you have your item marked for trade. You can also right click and change the status of any of these things at any time. If you find a tape that has incorrect release information, you can flag it, and you can flag incorrect information or incorrect image, and that will go into an admin queue that I can review and help correct it. So yeah, you can always jump to the view details page, add it to your want list, your collection, mark it for trade, flag it, or add tags. And all that information is also accessible on the release detail page in your collection. So it's still editable after the fact, but you just can do it from a more overview standpoint on the collection page. Your want list functions just like the collection page does, except it is things you don't have in your collection. So these are all releases you found that you want to add to your collection. I use this whenever I'm out looking for tapes and come across something. If I want to check to see if I have it in my collection or not, or if it's something I know I'm specifically looking for, then I can reference my want list for stuff I'm looking for. The thing about doing it in ReelSwap is that if you do choose to participate in trading, this is the mechanism for letting other users know what you are looking for so that trade matching system can work. The trading page, nobody is really trading right now. So if you were getting matched with other people, that would happen automatically and you'd be able to review your trade matches here. I'll leave that for a separate video for now, but you can see the trading FAQ for basically how the trade system works. The community page. So the community page lists all the users on ReelSwap. At the time of making this video, we have 117 members, which is awesome. And on the user cards, you can see how many items in each user's collection, how many they have marked for trade, and how many texture contributions they made. So if you see this yellow text with the star, that's how many actual texture archive maps have been processed by these users. Not only when you do that does it make your collection better, so you can actually see it on the 3D shelf view and interact with your tape, but it contributes to the ReelSwap archive. Any of those items that get added to another user's collection they get to see them as well. So every archive that gets created across the website makes the experience for all the users so much better. So I definitely encourage people to try it out and use it. We are working on something that should make getting scans of your tapes into the ReelSwap database more automatic, much easier in the future. Know that some big changes are coming on that front, so it should be cool. So you can follow people as well. You can click the follow button and then they will show up in your following list. You can sort by people with the largest collections, smallest collections, most contributions, and just people recently active. The new releases page I like a lot. It's where you can see anything that has a texture archive added to the ReelSwap catalog for it in the last 7 days. I constantly come back to this page and just browse it to see what people are uploading. It's super cool to see this working with actual users using it. I've been staring at this for my own collection for the last 6 weeks while I've been working on ReelSwap before release, and seeing this stuff show up now is like the coolest thing ever. So really appreciate all the users who are contributing, and if I sort by most contributions, uh, everyone on this page who has contributions has been just killing it, and I've been getting a lot of great feedback through the feedback form as well. Some people have been flagging issues, which I've been able to address fairly quickly, and it's been super helpful because I can't really find all the bugs myself until the project scales and people start using it in the way they want to use it. So thank you all. And then there's the tags page. This is cool because everywhere else in your ReelSwap experience, your tags for your items in your collection are personal to you. They don't affect the experience of anyone else across the site. They're a way for you to categorize your own collection yourself, except on this page where all the items that have tag in everyone's collection show up in one place. This is going to get wild eventually. I hope. I hope this eventually just gets filled with tags, but you can kind of see how people are tagging things in their collection and organizing it, like Star Wars Trilogy, for example. Just see how people are categorizing their stuff. It's kind of neat. And lastly, you can go to your profile page. On your profile page, you can enter a brief bio about yourself if you want and your location. This will show you some collection metrics and how many contributions you've made. You can put in your collecting focus, your favorite films, social media links if you want, and you can also see everything you have available for trade. I'm logged in as myself, but if I go to another user's page, then I can jump to browsing their collection very quickly. So now I'm browsing this user's collection and I can see specifically what they have. And of course that works in the shelf view too. So this is kind of like, I'm visiting Nerd Design Studios video store right now. There are settings in the profile page, so you can set all your information up here. I do want to note there's this prices. So if you're not interested in prices at all and all you want to do is just use this as a collection manager, you can absolutely do that. By turning this on for hide prices, you won't see any of the pricing information displayed. You won't see the estimated collection value on your collection page. If you just want to obscure dealing with prices at all or even thinking about prices, we are an archive first and foremost. We're a collection builder first and foremost. The prices are just there if people are interested in doing the peer-to-peer trading. But if you're not interested in that at all, you can just click hide prices and they won't show up for you. The trading platform also uses what's called a value tolerance. So obviously trades aren't always going to be matched dollar for dollar, cent for cent. So this is just a way to specify what the percentage of tolerance you're willing to entertain when it comes for trading for an item that you want, right? So if that means to get an item you want, if you're willing to give up 15% of your item's value in range to get that item, then this is where you can specify that. If you don't care about matching price for trading and you just want to swap items, you can set your value tolerance to 100%, and the price differential between the items won't make a difference for you. There is a data page where you can import CSVs for your collections from other platforms. So if you have your collection already in CLZ Movies or another tracking app, you can import that here. Once you import the CSV file, there is a wizard that will help you match fields from the other tracking apps to the fields on ReelSwap. It's a very simple process. You'll get lots of confirmations and checks before it actually gets imported, but that is a way if you want to transfer your collection that you've already built in another app to use it here in ReelSwap, you can do that. And then you can also change your password in the security tab. Definitely check out the FAQ page if you haven't already. It goes over a lot of the stuff I'm describing in this video, all the pricing information, how the collection works, pretty much everything, how the database is structured, and some roadmap items as well. If you have any ideas for roadmap items, what you want to see next, that sort of thing, again, definitely just hit this feedback form. I'm checking it daily, and I'm very curious to hear everyone's feedback. So please let me know. So now I wanted to walk through getting a physical tape from your collection onto ReelSwap and onto the shelf in your ReelSwap collection. I'm going to use Ghoulies 2 here. And to do this, the first thing you want to do is photograph your tape. So I will show you now what I think is the easiest process for photographing your collection to get it onto ReelSwap. All right, so now we have our photos of our item captured. I typically like to do this in big batches. I'll get a huge stack of tapes and just photograph them all at once, and then come back to ReelSwap when I'm ready to add them to my collection. So the first step you want to do is actually search for the title that you're trying to add, or you can do a barcode scan. So you can search the catalog for anything that already exists. Or you can use the add item button, and this opens the add item wizard. Either way, you're going to check to see if that title is already in the catalog. And if it's already in the catalog, you're either going to have the same release available, or you're going to add a new release to that title. Or if the title doesn't exist, you're going to create that title. For some more obscure movies and tape, or things that went straight to video, they're not necessarily in the database. So you have an opportunity to add something new to the database. So I'll click add item and I can search. In this case, I'll search for Ghoulies 2, and this is the title card. So I would click Ghoulies 2, or you can choose to scan the barcode. It works way better on mobile than it does on my laptop webcam. The nice thing about scanning the barcode is that it captures the UPC number. So the UPC number is also a unique release identifier that can be used. So it found Ghoulies 2, and that opens up the select release page. Now you can see here it says no releases yet, add yours. That's because no other user has added Ghoulies 2 to their collection yet. So you're the first person on ReelSwap to add this to your collection. This gives you a unique opportunity because if you are the first person to process the archive texture for your tape, it becomes the community archived image for all the other users who are adding it to their collection. Right now, it's sort of a first come, first serve. Whoever gets there first, their tape is the one that shows up for everyone in the catalog. Later on down the line, we may implement some sort of like voting system if people scan better versions of the same tape. But also note that even though the first one will be the community viewed texture for that release, if you choose to scan your own because you want to see specifically your tape in your collection, that will show up for you yourself in your collection if you process the texture. So the community texture exists for everyone else, and that is the first one to be added to the catalog. And if you process your own texture for the same exact release of the same movie, you will see your actual texture in your shelf view. If there was already a release of Ghoulies 2 in the catalog, you would see it up here and you would be able to select it rather than needing to create a new release yourself. So the second step is whether or not you're trying to add this to your want list or your collection. Well, because we have it, obviously we are adding it to our collection. So I'll say I own this. The format is VHS. I will look at the box and determine the distributor, which looks like this is Vestron Video. So I will scroll down and select Vestron. If you have a tape that does not have its distributor in this list, you can select not listed and enter that manually. That becomes part of the distributor list for everyone going forward. So as more and more tapes get added, the distributor list will grow and grow. Definitely always check the distributor list first to see if it's on there before just going straight for creating a new one. The release year is 1987. I can double check that. What you'll see up here, this is the year that the movie was released. Sometimes the release was not released until a year later, and in the case of multiple releases, it could have been released 10 years later under, say, like a movie time release or something like that. So the release year is different than the year that the movie came out. I'm noticing for Ghoulies 2 right now, this says 1987 Empire Entertainment, but a sticker on the back says 1988 Vestron Incorporated. So for my release year, I'm going to put in 1988. The UPC, if you did a barcode scan through the app or through the laptop, will automatically be there. I closed the window and reopened it to show this as an example, but this is the UPC example code down here. You want to put in your UPC. And when you're ready, click next. You can see this release card gets automatically filled out. So this is a preview. Being able to double check all your information. This icon indicates that it is a movie you're adding, not a TV show. It is Vestron Video distributed with its UPC, and I will click next. Then you choose what condition your copy is in. I'll just say this is in good condition. And now here's where you can add your photos for upload. So I will drop in my photos, and these are the photos of Ghoulies 2 that I just took. I won't mark it for trade right now. I won't add any tags right now. I can do that later. I'll just go ahead and say add to collection. So it's added to your collection. You can choose to move on to adding another tape immediately or just say finished. And now if I go to my collection and I sort by recently added, I will see Ghoulies 2. Now, the thumbnail in my collection shows my photo. No one else on the site is seeing that. That is specific to your collection because that is your photo. Currently, if I go back to the catalog, for example, and search Ghoulies 2, just the stock photo, the poster image from the movie database shows up for everyone else until that texture is processed for the archive. And then this will update to look like a beautiful VHS tape. So if I go back to my collection, I click on Ghoulies 2, I have my photos uploaded and all the information I can still edit. And down here you will see create texture map. I'm going to click this and I'm going to get asked to make sure I just associate the photos with the proper sides of the tape. This is going to, in the next step, open the texture archive tool, and the order of which the photos are added to that are important. I shoot my photos in the same exact order every time: front, left, back, right, top, and optional bottom if you want. In case you shot them out of order, this is your chance to reorder them. So you're just going to map front to front, left, back, right, top, and we'll do bottom. I usually skip bottom, but I see lots of other people doing it, so it's pretty cool. You're going to click Open Texture Archiver. Now this is going to open a separate application that interfaces with ReelSwap, and this is how we build the textures that show up in the 3D gallery view. The resulting texture map from this process is also used to generate the really cool looking 3D thumbnails across the website. So from this one process, we really get an image pack that enriches the experience for all users across the site. So I am going to now click Edit Crop, and now I'm going to set crop points for the four corners of my tape to extract these textures. So you can see this button here says click corners for left. The first four clicks are, I won't say automated, but they have a snap zoom feature, which is designed, once you're familiar with using it, to help speed up the process. Because when I click my first corner and hold the mouse button down, it's going to jump in and zoom in to the image so I can see very clearly where I'm placing that corner. And that happens for the first four clicks on the image. So I can very quickly pop through here and sort of set my corners where I want them to be. Now, this tutorial is going to get a little long-winded just because there's lots of nuance to old, warped, 40-year-old cardboard boxes, right? So determining what you want included in the texture is a bit subjective, but I'll tell you what I like to do. So typically you can see here that there's a very clearly defined like corner edge, and I'm seeing to the other side of the tape, and I'm seeing the top surface of the tape here. A lot of times the wear pattern on the tapes and or the reflection highlights of the lighting in the room give you a pretty clear edge to go on. So if I zoom way in here, you can see there's a wear pattern there and a wear pattern there. I'm not saying everyone has to get this specific about it, but I really like to spend time on these. And the more you do, the faster they'll get for sure. And also, like I mentioned previously, if you're still watching this long-winded video, we are working on an automated process for this right now too. Over here on the left, these are just corners where you can quickly fine tune your corners. These stay zoomed in. So I will now just quickly align these to the edges. Here you can see there's another wear pattern. I usually just line that up to the wear pattern, and it's still aligned on the top here. Maybe this needs a little adjustment, or you can go in here and fine tune it. When you're happy with your crop setting, you just click crop and unwrap, and automatically you get to see your front texture on the 3D tape. This is a super satisfying process to me. I really like going through these steps because you're creating a digital duplicate of your collection, which is kind of fun. You can also like view what the resulting texture map is going to look like. So you can see it in a sort of flat laid out view, or you can switch back to the 3D view at any point in time. So we rinse and repeat the same process for the rest of the sides of the tapes. I kind of go through and line up the wear pattern. What I typically do for the sides is you will notice that the cardboard edges extend lower than the bottom of the actual physical tape inside the case. I usually just crop to the bottom of the tape and leave like the little cardboard tabs out of the image. That just gives me a nice straight horizontal baseline to line my crops up to. I'll go up here. And this is what I was mentioning earlier when I was shooting the photos. The texture archive tool uses this as a corner pin to reverse out the warp perspective transforms. So you don't need your crops to be straight. In fact, you want them to follow the actual perspective edges of the sides of the tape so that then it can reverse that out and become flat. So crop and unwrap and pop back here and you will see your copy updated on the side there. If at any point in time you are not happy with a choice you made, oh, and actually here's a good example while I'm here. This is sort of the reason why I crop on the wear pattern, is because you can get the wear pattern to actually line up across the corners more easily this way, which is cool. If you're not happy with it any time, you can go back and click recrop and make any adjustments you need to. Maybe I made my perspective a little too distorted there, so I can go back and tweak that. Or maybe I didn't get the bottom lined up. Here's a good example, is if I have this extended down too far and I click crop and unwrap, you can see my actual table image is showing up there. So I would just go back and quickly adjust that and crop and unwrap again. Now this is fairly rinse and repeat, but feel free to skip ahead if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and finish this one out. So if anyone's interested in, they can see the full process and any other caveats that pop up. I'll go through and line this stuff up. Pretty happy with that. Crop and unwrap. There's the back side now. Do the right side. Place my four corners. Kind of crop right at the bottom of the physical tape inside there. Get the top lined up and crop that. And we have all our sides done. Let's do the top. With all this stuff, the condition of the cardboard is going to determine sort of where exactly you place your crops. You know, you'll just have to make some decisions on what you think looks best ultimately. And after you try it a couple of times, you'll start to understand what sort of works and what doesn't. I'll crop and unwrap this one. So now I have my top on there. And let's just go ahead and do the bottom for good measure. Like I said, I usually skip the bottoms. It's just one extra step for me because I'm more concerned about the box art, not necessarily the bottom of the tape. And you can sort of see here that, you know, the more and more warped the cardboard gets, the more difficult it is to sort of define exactly where that cropping needs to happen. But the cool thing is that you can get a really nice 3D effect just by cropping the textures here. So if I click crop and unwrap, I have my top and I have my bottom. And because there's a little bit of the edge of the cardboard in there, it looks like an extension of the actual tape. Now, just depending on the orientation of all these textures, you want to double check your tape and just make sure that you have the top panel actually aligned. Usually the opening faces away from the front of the tape. So in my case, Ghoulies 2, it opens that way. So when you look at the top of the tape, you just want to make sure that the opening is facing away from the top of the tape, or in some other unique situation, you might want to rotate it. So these rotate buttons on each of the textures are just a quick way to rotate that to get that to go to the correct position that you want it. And I will also check just to make sure that my bottom is aligned with the front of the face, and it is. So we are all done here. I think this is looking great. This is a great archive for ReelSwap. So I'm going to click send to ReelSwap. So when the button turns green and it says sent to ReelSwap, now if you go back to your item page that's still open in the other tab, you'll see your texture map show up, and you will see that this is now available as a thumbnail for everyone on the website in the catalog. You can now quickly jump back to your collection and pop into your shelf view. And now there is Ghoulies 2. And also, if you're on your item detail page, you can always click this thumbnail for the title and be taken directly to the title page for Ghoulies 2. So you can very quickly look at any of the other physical releases, whether they be on other formats or different cover art variations. You can jump and see what else has been added for this. The thumbnails on the title page and release pages actually just pop open a 3D view. So if you are browsing anything from the catalog page, say I find something like The Abyss, I can very quickly pop this open and check it out without needing to go all the way down into another collector's collection. You can also step through the different releases for the Abyss. So we can see we already have one cover art variation here. One is CBS Fox Video and the other is 20th Century Fox. Yeah, pretty neat. But like I mentioned, you may have like an obscure VHS release or Betamax release that that doesn't have a title in the database. So that's something you're going to want to create manually. But the first step for finding out whether or not it's in the database is important. So I have this random tape called Scooters, Basics and Beyond. Looks like it might be a how to do some aggressive scootering tape that I found. Pretty interesting special interest tape. So I doubt that's in the database. Let's find out. I'm going to search for scooters, and of course nothing turns up. So if that's the case, it'll say not finding it, and you will say create new title. Now you're going to need to determine whether or not this is a movie or a TV show. The metadata information you want to enter about it is different for both. And TV shows allow all of the seasons and episodes under one TV show to show up as separate releases. So we can group all the seasons and episodes under one TV show title name. For example, if it's Star Trek The Next Generation, then you can have season 1, 2, and 3 and all the different VHS tapes that typically have, 1 to 4 episodes on each tape as separate releases within that. I have my title name Scooters. I have my year, the year 2000. The director is Todd Grossman. And I think I will categorize this as special interest. Click next. I own this. It's on VHS. The distributor is Video Action Sports. In this case, there is no distributor listed, so I'll put not listed and then add Video Action Sports. If you're adding a distributor to the database for the first time for an obscure release like this, please make sure it is spelled correctly, and please make sure that you are capitalizing each of the words in the same way that it is represented on the distributor label. The release year again is 2000, and this does not have oh, it does have a UPC code, so I'll enter that. Next, this is new actually, it's still sealed. And now I can upload my photos, add tags, add any notes I want. So if you're adding a title manually to the database, we require photos to be uploaded for it. That is so everyone just has a reference for what it is you are actually trying to add. We don't want a bunch of blank unrepresented titles to be created in the database. And if you are creating a new title manually, you should only be doing that if it is for an item you own. So you should be able to provide photos of drop your photos in here and continue down the same path that we already just described for getting it into the ReelSwap database. All right, well, if you're still watching this video, thank you so much for number one, being a contributing member to ReelSwap. It's pretty touching actually to see people using this thing that I sort of started building just for myself to track my own collection, but then spiraled into something much bigger. We hope to continue to grow the archive and the user experience across the site. We're in active development on new tools and things like that to make getting archive texture maps easier into the database. If you know somebody who is a physical media collector, definitely please share this with them so they can contribute. If you're on the fence about contributing textures, please consider it. It makes the experience better for you. It makes it better for everyone else. We're really wanting this to be a historical archive of all this cover art for all these tapes before they sort of get lost to time. If you want to see other formats added or different features on the site, or if you find a bug and you're really thinking like, oh, I really just wish I could do this because it would make how I want to use the site even better, definitely on any of the pages, click the feedback form. Tell us what we can improve or do better. Pick a couple of options of things you would like to see next implemented. And always you can check the FAQ and check out the roadmap as well. All right, well, thanks everyone. If you are actually making it to the end of this video, I appreciate your attention, and stay tuned for more updates on the website in the future. And I hope you enjoy using ReelSwap in the meantime. Thanks.